Welcome to the Music Nut Program. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome back to the latest edition of It's Chris Whitley Wednesday. On today's show, I will review Chris's 12th album, released on March 28, 2006 on Red Parlor Records, Reiter In. This would be the first album released after Chris Whitley's passing, and this is credited as a band release to Chris Whitley and the Bastard Club. This album is very loose and ragged. More often than not, it's very joyous, but it's done with a lot of passion and a lot of care. This was released in 2006, but it was recorded on June 1, June 2, June 3, and June 5, 2005 at Old Soul Studios. It was produced by Kenny Segal, engineered by John Holbrook and Tom Schick. The Bastard Club are Chris Whitley on lead vocals and guitars, Heiko Schramm on bass guitar and backing vocals, Brian Geltner on drums, vibes, acoustic guitar, and backing vocals, Tim Beattie on harmonica, lap steel, and backing vocals, Kenny Segal on baritone, electric, and acoustic guitar and backing vocals, Sean Ballon on violin, Gwen Snyder on vocals and tambourine, Suzanne Berger on spoken word. Suzanne Berger was Chris Whitley's mate for the last several years of his life. So let's get into the tracks. We got half covers here, half originals. Our first song is I Want to Be Your Dog, which was on the wonderful debut, self-titled debut by the Stooges. And it's been covered by several artists. This has that same feel of the original, not quite punk, and of course the Stooges were punk before we had a name for it. But it's a very spirited version of this now classic track. Bring It On Home is the original by Willie Dixon, of course, more famously known for the Led Zeppelin version, which they will later go to court over because they didn't get permission to use Willie Dixon's original as the thesis for that song because the beginning and the end is done in the Willie Dixon tradition. This is done just like the original. We got the great harmonica on here, like you had on those great blues singles by Willie Dixon. This is very, very cool. In is the first original on here. This was written by Chris and Brian Geltner. The violin on here works very, very well. The lyrics are very sparse by Chris here. He doesn't sound very strong vocally. He actually sounded stronger on Soft Dangerous Shores. And this was actually recorded after Soft Dangerous Shores would be. This is a very emotional song. The violin, of course, brings a lot to it. Very, very cool track. It definitely is a change in pace from those first two covers that are done very spirited. Mountainside, now we get back to that spirited side again. This is a cover of the Flaming Lips track, originally released on it in a Priest-driven Ambulance album. And this is done in that same spirit. I like the original a little bit more. The original's a little noisier. The vocals are a little strong on here, but this is still a very strong track. And of course, it was the first time I ever heard this track. Flaming Lips is one of those retirement project bands for me. I can tell you that straight out. Very, very cool version. Cut the Cards sounds like a very melancholy country song. In its field, Tim Beattie writes this song. This is very, very cool, but very spirited. But again, we're going through a range of emotions on this album, even though more often than not, the album is upbeat, but it's always done with a lot of passion. I'm in Love with a German Film Star was written by the Passions. This would be their only hits in the UK. At number 25, it would later be released on the 30,000 Feet Over China album. This would be covered by several other artists, most notably the Foo Fighters, as the B-side to their Best of You single. This is a very cool version. It has that same hypnotic feel that it does the original. Very, very strong. Doesn't quite sound like that new wavy feel from the original, just to let you know that. It's more grunge in its presentation. Now we go to the last cover song on here. This is Our Friends Electric, written by Gary Newman for the album Replicas, which was released with his band Tubeway Army, or Tubeway Army, I should say. Here, the guitars are replicating those loud, piercing synthesizer sounds that you had on the original. It's a really cool version. I love the way that the band approaches, and Chris's vocal on here, I think, sounds very confident. This is a very cool version. And the baritone guitar on here, which sounds like a slide, used more in country music, really does a good job replicating those synth sounds that I just discussed. The next track is the title track, which is very hypnotic. It has the same rhythm going on, guitar rhythm, and it's spoken word piece. Above that, Suzanne Berter's doing the spoken word part. And this is a poem. I believe this is an uncredited poem, but it works very well with her voice over that same hypnotic rhythm. Very, very cool. I Go Evil, written by Chris Whitley and Kenny Segal. When I first heard this album, and I bought this when it first came out, I uh, was attached to this song immediately. Remember MySpace? MySpace was freaking cool. You used to be able to have your own songs. You put on songs when people would visit your page. This was my song for a long time. I miss MySpace. Everything else paled in comparison. I'm not on any of those social networks. But anyway, I digress. I go evil kicks ass. It is wicked. The harmonica solos on here, the guitars on here. Very evil sounding song, no pun intended. This is probably the closest Chris would ever get to like a heavy metal song with that repetitive riff. The riff sounds like a Black Sabbath riff. I mean, it is just wicked. And the band really bring the passion and the fire on this song. All beauty taken from you in this life remains forever. This is an original, and it feels like a blues rave up from back in the 40s or 50s, like a Willie Dixon song. The violins coming in and out, the guitars coming in and out with the solos, the harmonica coming in and out. This just kicks ass. This is an excellent track. Really brings a lot of passion to this album. This is one of the more upbeat songs on here, even though it's very, very sparse on the vocals. It kicks ass. It's great. Last track on here is Coming Home, which is a Heiko Schramm original. This is an instrumental, and it has that same bluesy feel as the previous track does. It's very well played, very spirited, wonderful way to end the album. It sounds very joyous at the end. This is 51 minutes, 11 tracks. Little different album for Chris, which I've been saying a lot in this series. Very spirited album. It always keeps your attention, even if some of the rhythms may be a little bit repetitive. It's just that they're hypnotic and they just take you in. A lot of great songs on here. The covers, I think, are very, very well done. The Chris Whitney and the Bastard Club really brought it on this release. So, what do you all think of Reiter In? Have you heard this album? What do you think of it if you have? please let me know in the comments. Please join me next week on Chris Whitley Wednesday when I discuss Chris Whitley's 13th album, which was recorded with Jeff Lang, also released in 2006. Dislocation Blues. This was recorded in 2005 as well. During the last year of Chris's life, he was very, very busy despite dealing with cancer. So, thank you all so much for joining me today. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.